You made it another week. You made it another week. And you are back here with us at Sonic Weekly, the podcast that comes out every 7 days or so about Sonic the Hedgehog and or auxiliary interests, topics. One of your hosts is me, Grant. Hello. And with me is Bo. Hi, Bo.
Beat me up. Hey, I'm happy to be talking about Sonic and auxiliary interests with friends.
We do it every 7 days or so, like I mentioned, with the star of the show, out of the shadows, into the spotlight, David the Lurker. Hello, David.
Whoa, hi, Grant. Hi, Bo. That's right. I love auxiliary mode. That's when you just plug the headphones directly in. You don't have to worry about Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or whatever the kids are using to communicate without wires.
Yeah.
That's what I'm about. Auxiliary.
Auxiliary. Pass me the auxiliary cord.
Yes.
Is what I say as a fellow kid. I say, pass me that aux cord and let me lay down some sick jams. And I play this podcast. And they're allowed to, they can refuse any customer, Lyft and Uber, and they have refused me each and every time I've done that.
Oh, wow.
Even Waymo, the self-driving car. I grab the aux cord, I play my own podcast. It's such a transgression that they have to remove me from the moving vehicle.
Oh, wow.
They don't even stop. They throw me out of the car is what I'm saying. What a cartoonish scenario that is. Cartoonish Scenarios brought to you by Sonic Weekly. Hey, you know what? It's a weekly show. Sometimes we nail it and sometimes we get it wrong. I was reminded of getting it wrong in a previous episode from a year ago, thanks to, because, if you comment on our videos or you send us emails, we do react and respond. So when we were talking about the lead up to movie 3, I was very confidently proclaiming that anybody except Keanu Reeves was a lock for Shadow. Hayden Christensen, for sure going to be Shadow. You know who's not going to be Shadow is Keanu Reeves. Never going to happen. Of course, I was dead wrong, David.
Aged poorly, yeah.
That's right.
Aged poorly. What did age well was correct. Bo and I were correct. And maybe David, sure, you too. We were all correct that Jim Carrey would do the double role of Gerald. We accurately called that. There was no insider trading. There was no Yuji Naka, no Pat Casey slipping us some secrets. We were just purely speculating, shooting from the hip.
Yuji Naka wouldn't even know. That's because I called him beforehand and he was like, I don't know. Who are you? And I was like, listen.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Yuji. Because I called him Yuji.
Yeah, Yuji baby.
Hey, Yuji baby. We still need to get him in Sonic 4.
Mm-hmm.
Or anyone really who worked on the games.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Izuka or Oshima,
right,
or any other Sonic team.
Yeah, they should do one of the cameos.
Do a Stanley.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, they should do that.
Yes, they should.
So maybe this will age well. Maybe in Sonic 4, it'll turn out that hey, they did the cameo and Izuka was there, and Oshima, and even Yuji Naka, and Tom Kalinske. And so on and on. It's like a Woodstock of a who's who of Sonic behind the scenes people.
Whoa!
There's Aaron Webber.
I'm trying to think. Can you occupy the headspace of it's a big movie franchise, but there's no way they could get Keanu. He's an A-lister. Like, does that seem just beyond the pale now?
I think what it reveals is how that was like a beyond our wildest dreams. The Sonic movie 3 was going to like really accomplish what we all hoped it would, and it did. Like we were like a little nervous, I guess, at one point. But now that I think back on it, Keanu's in Cyberpunk. That's a video game. He's down to clown. He's not out of reach. Yeah. I don't know why I was thinking he was so far past the movie's ability to, but it did seem like just almost too perfect because it was like the number one fan choice. So it's kind of like it reminded me of when Christian Bale was chosen to be Batman for the Nolan movies, because that was a similar thing where the internet on message boards, Rotten Tomatoes, were like, Christian Bale, have you seen American Psycho? This guy was born to be Bruce Wayne / Batman. And then it happened and it was like, whoa, I guess they have access to the same internet.
Right. Have you seen The Mechanic? He can totally be Batman.
Very thin.
Think Christian Bale has played Sonic?
Great question.
Probably has, right?
I don't.
Maybe. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. Somehow I doubt it. He seems like. I'm going to say no on Christian Bale, even though he's the right. Oh God, I don't know. But he, as a youth, as a wayward youth,
he's in the trailers. He's got a lot of downtime.
You're right. Yes, I'm going to say yes. I'm changing it to yes because he's in. He was a child actor. He's in
Newsies.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and something of the Sun, Empire of the Sun, was it or? something like
News,
that.
man. People don't talk about Newsies enough.
What should they say?
I saw a stage production of Newsies accompanying my dear wife, and boy, those dancers, they can really dance.
The hat I wear is a, I guess, a Newsies hat, essentially. What's that hat called? It's got the thing on it.
It's a newsboy cap, right?
It's a newsboy cap. That's right. Where is it? It's right here.
I don't know.
This is the hat I wear.
Oh, yeah, it's a nice hat.
Yeah. I don't wear it on the podcast because
Why don't you wear it on the podcast? Oh, okay.
I mean, I could.
I just got a new hat.
Oh.
Yeah, but I'm not wearing it on the podcast either.
And I'll describe for the listeners. David is wearing a newsboy cap awkwardly over his over-the-ear headphones. Grant is wearing a blue hat with some laurels on it and a bird of some sort on the top of it, also awkwardly over some over-the-ear headphones. Really, over-the-ear headphones and hats do not mix well.
No.
That's why I am not attempting to wear a hat, because when I wear a hat, it looks like I have cancer.
Well, oh. That's not all I have, though. Oh, I got this.
Oh my! Hey, that's Sonic and Friends. That's a little plush of Sonic and Friends. Sonic from Sonic and Friends.
That was
David is holding a Sonic and Friends keychain up to the camera.
Wow!
Dangling it. It's got large eyes.
Gifted to me by my dearly beloved. And
wow. Well,
yeah.
La-di-da. Good for you.
I know, right? How dare any of us be in relationships? It's not like either of you are married.
It's true. That's a very beautiful Sonic toy.
Going to Newsies.
Oh, that's right. Newsies. I was thinking about Newsies because you know what? That's going to go off on a wild tangent. We should stick to the fact. Okay, forget it. Let's go on a wild tangent. Hey, I'm just going off. Right. There's a podcaster that a podcast man named Michael Bailey, who I listen to a lot. He's a man who talks about Superman because, as we all know, that is one of the other big obsessions that, well, Grant and I, we share an obsession, a fondness for DC, but I don't think you've ever listened to Michael Bailey, who is a Superman man.
I have not.
No. And he would often talk about like, oh man, when Christian Bale was announced, like I was calling him to be Batman way before, based solely on his performance in Newsies. Like he was like that, like way back.
You could tell. It was like this kid is going to be orphaned.
He's going to be
orphaned in Newsies.
I forget.
Probably is, right? It seems like
it definitely seems like a
low-paid orphan work distributing newspapers. I only hazily recall the plot. Really, all that I remember is they really danced the hell out of that dance number.
Yeah,
and we are dancing around the core subject of the podcast, which is Sonic the Hedgehog, the interest that we all share that brought you to the show. One of the reasons we're doing that is because it's a slow news week. There's not a ton to talk about, and what there is to talk about is kind of disappointing.
All right.
Yeah, Sonic Rumble is dead and never coming out ever.
Ever. Yes. So everyone's excited. I mean, we were even talking about doing it live because it was supposed to come out May 8th. Spoilers, or to peel back the curtain, we record on Thursdays, except today we record on Wednesday, which is why we're not talking about the final episode of Chow Tales. It happened before we recorded, or after we recorded. Sorry, unless it's been canceled. Maybe all Chow have been canceled. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, hey, so we were excited, maybe, but hey, Rovio put out a nice little press release that said, sorry about that. It's not coming out May 8th. We're excited that you're all super excited about it. Over 1 million people have pre-registered for this thing, but it's not coming out. And we'll tell you when it is later. Like they didn't give us even a ballpark, right? Of like, it's coming out next month. We're delaying it 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They're like, it's happening later. And as far as I can tell, a lot of reaction is people going, wait, didn't this game come out a year ago? Or I can't bring myself to care, because it's had a very wild promotion, it feels. And I know it is available in some countries. And even like a couple weeks ago, we had Corey Maru on. He had access to it because there are certain creators who had access to the early build on Steam.
Yeah, based on his comments, I was coming around to it. I was like, all right, yeah, I'm ready. May 8th.
Same.
It's a good day.
Same. Yeah.
I'll play.
But
no.
No play.
All right, so no word as to when it's supposed to come out. I don't even know.
Yeah, just
they know.
Watch this space. Yeah, they maybe it's right to keep it unclear, to keep it vague and just say we'll let you know when we know, because they also within that press release are suggesting that they're making big changes to the game, like significant additions and so not as close to completion as we thought. So
do you think they're going to take out the Rumble or the Sonic?
Well, if this was a licensing deal, they probably would remove the Sonic. But since Sega owns Rovio,
like this kind of rollout, they should call it Sonic Bumble.
Whoa!
Hey,
hey, Bumble. That's an app, right, for dating. That's because Sonic is going to help introduce you to hot singles in your area. Sonic Bumble, the new mobile and Steam game.
You know, if you are on the dating market and you're listening to this show, I think you should put the fact that you really like Sonic and you listen to the Sonic podcast in your profile and see what is the result. Do you get better matches? Do you get better conversations when you're on dates with those matches? You know, does it lead to something more? Write in, tell us. We want to hear about it. You know, keep it PG-13 at most. This is, you know, not an adults only show, but you know, I think you should put that in the profile.
Yeah, I would definitely like to know what happens, because I don't know. Like when I entered the relationship with my now wife, dear wife, previous guest Ashlyn, wife of the Grant, I was in a period where I was not that into Sonic because it was 2013 or 2014. Either way, not a lot happening for Sonic at that time that I just was not that interested. 2017, Sonic Mania, I get the bite. It comes back. We've covered this many times before. Of like, I was out of Sonic, then back in, and then really back in. And she sometimes is like, oh, well, this was a sucker punch. You totally blindsided me with like, you're obsessed with Sonic and you just hit it for a while. It's like, that's not exactly accurate. I just wasn't interested. And then now that you're trapped,
it is an old flame that has rekindled, you know.
Right. That's like you going to your 10-year high school reunion and you're seeing the girl that you were crushing on. She comes over and she's like, hey, how's it going? And you're like,
hey, have you seen the Sonic Mania? It's great. And you're like, you're right, it is.
It's exactly like that. Yeah.
But I definitely think you should be your authentic self, dear listener. That's what we're pleading to you, and put that out into your dating profile and perhaps attract like-minded Sonic fans.
Right.
Yes, and tell us about it, because we have no idea. I've been married for so long. There were no dating apps when I got married. Not even close.
No.
You were back in the day of like telephones at the table, right? No, that's older.
The iPhone had been released when I got married, but not for very long.
Oh, wow. So you really have been married forever.
I know.
Yeah.
I had a Palm Pre when I got married. That's how old I am.
Wow. You were married during the George Bush administration?
No.
Okay.
Not
that. All right. I don't know. I clearly I can't remember when the iPhone was released. I was thinking, okay, 2007 is the year.
iPhone came out in 7. Yeah, 07. And the Palm Pre is 09.
Okay, right. So it was during the Obama administration is when you got married.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. No Sonic games on the Palm Pre, but you know what there was on the Palm Pre was the first Angry Birds game. And I thought it was a delight at the time that, you know, you could get this game that would have been $50 on, say, the Super Nintendo. Just play it on your little touchscreen there. And you know what was great about that phone? It had a physical keyboard that worked.
Whoa.
And I miss those days.
Yeah, I definitely loved the BlackBerry that I had for the couple years that BlackBerries were around. Then switching over to iPhone, it was sad. I was really into that BlackBerry. R.I.P. BlackBerry. I didn't watch the movie that told the story about you, and I never will. But maybe I'll read the Wikipedia summary.
So the connection there was Palm Pre, Rovio, Angry Birds, Sonic Rumble.
Right.
We brought it back.
Oh, yeah.
Easy peasy.
That's right. As we prepare for Update 1.2, we will introduce major features like crews, rumble, ranking, and skills. These changes will fundamentally reshape the game, and one thing has become clear. We want to create a game that evolves and stays fun for months and years to come. So, yeah.
I guess that does tell the tale. Is like they don't see this as okay, you play this for some number of hours and then you're done with it. It's kind of an Angry Birds where it's new levels and power-ups. And
have any of us when's the last time any of us have played or know anybody who's played an Angry Birds game? I was reading
2009.
I was reading some reviews that I guess it's very different from the Angry Birds that we remember. Like it's much worse.
It was, the one I remember is like a cool physics game, and where I fell off was, why don't you try paying for these power-ups? It's like,
yeah.
Yep. And I guess that just sort of they kept doubling down on that.
Yeah. I'd bought a couple. There was Angry Birds Seasons, Angry Birds Rio, which tied into the movie Rio for some reason. And then there were 2 Star Wars Angry Bird games. I did not play any of them to completion, but I had them. And then then they started moving towards live service, free to play, whatever you want to say. They re-released the original Angry Birds for a brief moment in time, and if you remember, they pulled it because people just started buying it and they were losing money because play this free game and maybe spend $50 a month or pay $1 and have a full game. And people paid $1 and played a full game, which was bad for their business model. Maybe that's why Sega bought them. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the other big Sonic post this week was they put out a video. The Sega Sonic account did a collaboration with Sam Procrastinates to do a history of Sonic racing video, and we learned a little bit of new information about Sonic Racing Crossworlds. What we did not learn is a date. We still have no idea when that game is coming out. I guess we know that it's not coming out before Mario Kart World because we know that's coming out in June. And if this were coming out in May or June, I mean, this could age badly. They'll never put it out in June.
I had October in my head.
Yeah, October sounds right. I mean, well, usually the fall and autumn that's when they release these games, right? Most of the Sonic games come out in fall for that season, the holiday.
Yeah, Superstars was October, Frontiers was November.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
I have it penciled in on my calendar in October.
Oh, I guess because
just the whole month I have blocked out for Crossworlds.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're brief snippets, right, of new stages, new areas. You get to see Sonic on the Extreme Gear briefly. The video itself is short. I'm going to say that. It's short and no shade on who, the people involved, but the dialogue is very much just like PR puff, right? Like, man.
Well, do you think Sam had this all planned out in advance and got it done early, or did Sam wait till the last minute?
I think Sega went, "This is what you're allowed to say," and he went, "Okay, I'll get
I'm
paid."
saying he procrastinated.
I get it now. Yeah, it's because if you're doing a history of Sonic racing video, I'm probably asking for too much, but I would like a bit more of a deep dive.
I want Gale Racer in there.
Right.
I want Rad Mobile.
Yeah, Radmobile, Gale Racer. Yeah.
And I also want some talking heads. I want someone to sit down and be like, this is what we were thinking when we were making Sonic R or Sonic Riders. I want, you could do a little piece where most of it goes back to Crossworlds, and it's like Azuka talking about, so we took this from this and we took that from that, and we're honoring everything that's led up to this point. But then you also have some of the older developers talk about what they did.
Maybe that video could still be coming, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They don't have to pack it all into Sam Procrastinates video. I'm going to stand up for Sam, even if he's not great at planning.
He's terrible at planning. He doesn't have any.
I think it's a good idea. I think pay TJ Davis's going rate, get her to talk a little bit, maybe hum a few bars. Of the soundtrack.
You guys are talking about a full documentary, which I support, and
yes,
we'll back the Kickstarter as well.
No, I'm saying like a tastefully done Zoom meeting. You get TJ Davis, you get Azuka, you get somebody from Sumo Digital talking about the 3 they worked on.
Yeah.
I'll produce it.
Okay, but for a 90-second or 2-minute video, I thought it was a very. I will say, it's one of those things where I kind of want the thing of like, well, how do you play these games? Most of them are in Sonic Origins, but not Sonic R.
Can you play like Jim's Collection through the backward compatible emulator compatible thing at any point?
What?
I don't know which one. I mean, the Gems Collection's on GameCube, so you can play it on Wii.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
But can you play the Wii through the Switch?
No. So so there. I guess what I'm saying is like there's a number of Sonic racing games that are not really available on current consoles. Maybe they're all available on Steam. But that wasn't necessarily the point of the video. But I maybe would have appreciated that being the point of the video a little more. Is just like connecting it to
things you can buy. Like at the end of
things
it,
you can buy.
here's a link.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Just a little bit. Man, I'm trying to think. The only ones that are really accessible to modern hardware are the 2 Drift games and Team Sonic Racing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the beginning and the end.
Because Transformed is
Transformed's still on PC.
Yeah.
I guess, the Transform game. I'm just thinking like none of the Riders games.
Right.
Unless is Free Riders, can you play that on a current Xbox? Is it backward compatible?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I played the 3 Sumo ones on PC, but
yeah, you can still get those on PC, and I assume
I meant recently, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But so going back to Bo's thing about October as a guess, let's see if we can get this to age really, really well. David, what month do you predict will be the release month for Sonic Racing Cross Worlds? Do you agree it will be October, or do you think it will be a different month?
I think it'll be the first week of November.
Okay, and I'm going to go September.
Whoa!
So there you have it. Listener, maybe none of us will be right. Maybe one of us will be right. You'll have to let us know in a future comment that we'll read and maybe respond to. I don't know. So, okay, news-wise, that's about it, right? There's a Tangle the Lemur Jack's Pacific action figure that silently releases at Walmart.
Oh, yes. Oh, directly from sonicstadium.org.
Yes, you're right. The silent
I
partner
feel like
of the
we
show.
half the time forget to mention we're just stealing their news.
No, I think you're always good about mentioning it.
Oh, okay. I will say about that figure, I do find it interesting that it is marked as part of the comic collection, so there's still some delineation between Game Sonic and Auxiliary Media Sonic. They don't just straight up say this is a Sonic character. They're like, no, this is from the comic collection. It does open the door for other characters. I'm sure Whisper is in the pipeline. I feel like Dr. Starline would be an obvious choice because bad guy. Surgeon Kit. I think those are the big ones. I don't know if we'd get a Lanolin action figure anytime soon.
Mimic.
Oh, yeah, Mimic. That's a good one. It is comic collection. And I know it would never happen, but man, what if?
Rotor. Finally the Rotor toy.
Right.
AKA Boomer.
AKA Boomer.
Okay, Boomer is what I say when I'm talking about Rotor and what he's called in season 1. I say, okay, Rotor, if you're talking season 2.
Well, he's Boomer in the
pilot. And then he's Rotor after that.
Is he even? Yes. Yeah. Is he even Boomer in the pilot? I'm trying to remember now.
Hell if I know. I only know he's Boomer in the early Archie issues.
Yeah. He is definitely Boomer in the early Archie issues.
Here's a brief tangent. What if the generations weren't like you just kept getting new ones, just like when you're in your 60s, you're a Boomer, and when you're in your late 40s, you're a Gen Xer, and when you're in your 30s, you're a Millennial, and when you're in your 20s, you're a Zoomer. Just forever from now on.
Yeah, that would be a unique type of hell.
I think that makes more sense. I think that should be the new system.
I mean, it does it would help people that can't like we're millennials, and you'll still hear people say millennials referring to like kids, like 20 somethings.
Right.
You're like, you're like, person, you have been wrong about that. You are carrying a outdated prejudice, and maybe we're still eating avocado toast, but it's not 2015 anymore. We are all 10 years older.
That is true. How about that? Oh man, if only we started this podcast 10 years ago.
Yeah, we'd be dead by now.
It would have been doldrums there for a while, right? What was going on in 2015? Were they still doing Boom? Yeah.
Right. We
Talk about, what was this week's episode of Boom?
I guess that's what we would be doing. We would be doing Boom reviews,
Yeah.
probably wondering what's going on with Archie to some degree.
I think we'd be on hiatus.
Maybe that's what we should do is like look back 10 years ago, segment on now on a slow news week.
That's a great idea. In fact, I think we could probably rely on Sonic Retro because it has that function, does it not?
It does have this day in Sonic history. Right, we could be wild and pretend that we are just doing a year of Sonic when we really have nothing to do. Not just 2015, but like we could be like, we're doing a podcast. It's 2004. What is happening?
Yeah, I like that. A time travel series. That's cool.
Oh yeah, we could do one when we're in the 1800s and we're reading Sherlock Holmes. I'm liking it even more.
Yes.
It's getting exciting.
Okay, so we will take some prompts from the mailbag in a moment.
Yeah.
And you can give us prompts for what are some years that we should take a look at? 1990, whatever, 2000, you tell me, 1980, who cares? We're not going there. But 20 blank, don't know, SonicWeeklyPodcast at gmail.com. That's all the Sonic news, right, David? I think we can shift over to the Sega Saturn Rings of Saturn news, right?
That's right. Yeah. So this week I'm looking at a Saturn game that did not come out in North America. It did come out in Europe, though. It's KO Flying Squadron 2. The 2 is because the first one was on Sega CD.
Whoa.
Anyway, this is one of those cool cheat code ones where you could get the level select and you can get the hitboxes and you can get all sorts of cool stuff. Uncovering this decades old mystery. It's all happening on Saturn. And this weekend, I'm kind of doing Saturn during the week, and on the weekend something else. I'm picking up the PlayStation Portable for the first time.
Whoa!
The Wipeout series from Psygnosis. They did a couple of those on the PlayStation Portable.
Whoa.
Pure and Pulse.
Wow.
This is one of these futuristic racing games. And if you want to unlock everything in those games, well, you can read the Rings of Saturn.
Love it.
Right. How heavy is a PSP picking it up for the first time?
I think they're pretty portable, right?
Right.
I did, in trying to learn how to hack the PSP, pick up the Sonic Rivals games.
Oh yeah, those are a big mystery to me. They're kind of a blank spot.
Yeah, like a familiar franchise to get started in, and I was hoping to make some finds there in the hacking realm, but no dice. I figured out how to unlock Metal Sonic or whatever, but I think somebody already knew how to do that.
I guess
Anyway, PlayStation Portable now in scope for Rings of Saturn. Tell me what's good.
Whoa.
Wow.
It is in orbit.
And here I thought PSP was just something I say to my cat. Psst, 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 psst. Folks, kill me with a weapon.
A Barry ad.
A Barry ad. We can check in with our buddy Barry. What's up, Barry?
Hey Sonic Weekly listeners, Barry from SegaBits here to tell you about a podcast that you might enjoy. On the latest Sega Talk podcast, George and I look back on Sonic Forces, its development history, and the impact that it has made on the franchise. And on the SegaBits YouTube channel, you can check out a 3-part travelogue from Japan. Watch or listen at youtube.com/SegaBits or search SegaBits on your podcatcher of choice.
Did we ever talk about Sakura Wars 2 has been translated and is now out?
Oh, yeah. That's right. Sega Saturn fans can rejoice because you can play this iconic Sega property on your Saturn. I was called in to consult on one minor hacking element of this, and they did not wind up needing my contribution, but, happy to cheer on the team from the sidelines.
Yeah. If I played RPGs, I would be super excited. But, I mean, I'm glad it exists.
Well, I bring it up for you, David, because they're looking for talented voice actors for the dub.
Oh.
Yeah, it's an open audition for the OVA of 1 and 2.
Whoa.
And on our Twitter X profile at Sonic Weekly, we reposted SegaBits.com sharing that information.
It's a casting call.
All right.
It's a casting call, David. So you've got to
I could do it.
Dust off the pipes.
Right. It'd be like, hello, hey Sakura, what is going on? That's how you do 90s dubbing, right? Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, since we're still in orbit around Sega, I feel like we should throw this out because it's weird. We didn't talk about it when it was announced. We had other things going on. We had other guests. But man, films, there's Sonic films, but there's no other Sega films really. But I guess that's all about to change.
There's so many Sega films in the pipeline.
In
so
the
many
pipeline.
Sega films.
Yes.
And how many will actually be realized? We don't know yet.
No.
We can't count the chickens until they're hatched.
Right.
But there's a lot in development and seemingly in active production as well.
Right.
And the latest was announced.
That's right. The Outrun film was announced. It's in development with Michael Bay attached to direct,
Whoa.
and Sydney Sweeney is attached as a producer. No word on whether or not she would, I guess, be the woman in the passenger seat of the Outrun car. Like that. There's two. Well, I guess there's three roles, right? It's the flag guy. That's Outrun, right? He's got the flag.
Yep.
So there's the flag man,
Yes.
the driver.
Yes.
And the passenger.
That's right.
And I guess that's about it.
Yep.
Those are the only three characters in these games. I'm sure there's more. I'm sure you can.
No, there's not.
No, it's just.
I mean, you could hypothesize
Right.
that the drivers for the other cars are human, but you don't know that. They could be robot. They could be Waymo.
That's right. They could all. They're all empty cars except the one, and maybe his story is he's coming to reclaim the road from automated driving. He's like, you need the human element.
Yeah.
And I'm going to prove it by driving with my girlfriend, and neither of us are going to die. And on more than one occasion, he crashes and they all flip, but then they get off and hop back in the car because it's how it works.
Somebody needs to say, "You'll never outrun me," and look directly at the camera.
Whoa. Outrun, outlast, outplay.
I think they've got the right people. I mean, it's like Michael Bay, fast cars. Sydney Sweeney, hot babe. Hot babe, fast cars, that's Outrun. That's totally Outrun. But they kind of already made this movie. I was remembering there's like a Charlie Sheen movie. I just looked it up. It's from 1994 called The Chase. And it's basically like the O.J. Simpson. No, it's not. Is it kind of based on that? It feels like it's based on that. And the game Outrun.
Okay.
It was conceived as a direct response to something else. Okay, never mind. Cut all of that out.
So
except for this, that I'm right about, that he's driving a red car with a hot babe. He's on the run from police. And let's just do a Control F for Outrun. I think there's a connection. Wikipedia and most conventional thought may not agree, but
yeah, consensus reality. Who needs that?
Right. We could do a deep dive. We could look up like who's the writer, who's the director, figure out if any of them were photographed playing Outrun. Did they play at the stand-up arcade cabinet, or did they get to do the full sit-down? I'm behind the wheel. Because that can alter your. I did the stand-up. I've played the stand-up Outrun arcade cabinet, and it can be a little odd because you still have the pedals on the floor, but you're standing, and like you don't do that when you're driving a car, so it feels a little weird. But man, it still needs the pedals are there, and it's not just push a button, please.
Well, Adam Rifkin wrote and directed The Chase,
and
he seems to be about the right age to have played Outrun in arcades, and so does his creative partner Brad Wyman. And I'm going to just say that they were partially inspired by Outrun when they were making that movie, because the car is red and they're outrunning people, and the passenger is blonde and the guy driving has dark hair. So, is that a coincidence?
Right.
I don't, maybe it might be, but it doesn't seem like it because it was 1994.
You never know. Is it like the, how there was that Queen Latifah taxi movie?
Yes. Okay. Perfect example. Yes, that's the Crazy Taxi movie.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if they say it. 2004. Okay.
2004. Because a couple years prior to that, they had announced, we're developing a Crazy Taxi movie, which never happened. And then, strangely enough, this movie with Queen Latifah and who's the guy? Is it Jimmy Fallon?
It is Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, it is Jimmy Fallon. Pops up and it's just called Taxi. And I don't want to say one way or the other, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a script where they just crossed out the word crazy throughout the entire thing.
Or it's just that you see that this is a hit at the arcade and you go, hey, that gives me an idea. and it's just sort of something that's inspired by the world around you is really what we're suggesting. Not that it's like an outright ripoff of Crazy Taxi
or Outrun,
but maybe, just like Star Wars,
right?
Kurosawa. That's all we're saying. There's inspiration.
Flash Gordon,
is a different time.
Queen, Highlander 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of Smoovies,
whoa,
for cutting all of that, let's open up his mailbag question.
Speaking of Kurosawa.
That's right. Kurosawa wrote into the podcast. It was the last thing he did before he died.
He says, "Hi, SonicWeeklyPodcast at gmail.com. My name is Smoovies, and I was curious about who all of you believe to be the teller of truths in Sonic Adventure. As we all know, Sonic and friends tell the events of Sonic Adventure slightly differently, but I thought it'd be fun to hear from the pod staff to judge who's most likely recounting those events most accurately on a case-by-case basis. If Tails' arc is about relying on Sonic less, do we believe him when he says he fought Chaos 4? Did Sonic win the Chaos Emerald from the vault in Casinopolis, or did Tails find it in the sewer beneath the casino showers, etc.? Thank you for reading, and please tell David I love him, tell Bo he is cool, and tell Grant I say hi. Hello, Smoovies. Thank you for the letter."
Great question. This, to me, speaks to the heart of the Sonic canon. And, I've thought about this a lot. I think the key event in Sonic Adventure is when the egg carrier blows up in midair and several of the characters make last moment escapes from the flames. They all experience that, and it all seems to happen a little bit differently. Who's got the right story here? Did Sonic beat Gamma? Did Tails beat Gamma? Did Gamma beat both of them and then jump off with Amy? Did that fight happen like right before the big fight with Chaos 6, or was it sometime after? Because you get all the different versions right there. Right there is when they all collide, and they're all lying to some extent.
Yeah. Right. Well, who has the most to gain from lying and who doesn't? But also just like based on physicality and action, like the idea of E102 Gamma about to murder Sonic properly feels a little far-fetched to me, right? Because Sonic, we've played as him through multiple games up to this point. Nothing really, he gets hit, rings fly, but there's never been a moment where I've gone, oh, this Eggman robot can stop him. E102, I mean, he seems to be put together a bit better than the others, but I just can't imagine that E102 actually had Sonic on the ropes and was ready to deliver the killing blow before Amy intervened.
Right. We know he pulls his punches.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the killer instinct.
That's right. He didn't want to murder Amy. Even though you could argue that E102 would be the most accurate because he's got a mechanical brain. It's an electronic brain.
But we know it's malfunctioning.
That is true. He is having some malfunctions. So, and he's being influenced by the flicky inside of him, or the birdie, if we really don't want to call it a flicky, but whatever. Look.
I think we can fully discount Tails because, he doesn't even think about the Chaos 6 fight. It's just like, oh yeah, I beat Gamma and then I jumped off of the exploding ship and saved everyone right there. And you don't even need to worry what happened right after that.
I mean, he definitely did jump off. He carried Amy. No one thought it was worthwhile to go back to the tornado. It was just not on anyone's mind. Except Big. So we know that part is definitely true because Big is alive. Yeah. I mean, when it comes to Tails, it's in his theme song. Like, he is seeing himself having the same adventure. That, to me, basically explains everything with Tails, except for when it's finally just Tails by himself. Because if he's running around and he's defeated Eggman and he defeated Gamma and he's done all this stuff, at the end, when he's like, I have to go after Eggman in Speed Highway, he'd be pretty sure of himself. Right? Like, he's already done it.
No, and I think you're right. And I think like the things that have references later are like anchor points. So like we know Big took the tornado because it crashed into the Mystic Ruins, and that's a key part of the final story.
Yeah.
And we know Tails is the hero of Station Square because that happens to be mentioned in Sonic Adventure 2. So, he's telling a little bit of truth.
So I think that they're all accurate and they're all telling the truth and they are in parallel intersecting realities.
Oh,
Here's
yes.
why. Here's why.
Okay.
It's the Master Emerald gets shattered. And similar to Sonic Prime, I guess, I never finished that show. We talked about it. But something, a Master Emerald-like gem gets shattered and then reality splinters. Is that something that is right?
Well, we know it causes people to see visions of the past and go on snooze cruises.
Oh,
So
right.
I think it's like they all happen. They're like they are literally experienced by all the characters multiple times, just like you experience it. But it all converges when the Master Emerald is put back together in the Supersonic story. So that's when it's like the timeline is like reset. So everybody has like the same memory, or they don't argue about it because it's just that going forward. Same thing in Sonic Adventure 2. Master Emerald shatters again. You don't have as many conflicting perspectives, but you do have two. You see the same event different times, and it's not quite clear which reality
right.
is right. But they
Shadow
both
or
are right.
Sonic.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, even so, in all those cutscenes, the cutscenes are all exactly the same.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether Sonic or Shadow wins, they're both standing there panting. Neither of them are on the ground dead. So
Yeah, that's true.
the only real moment, I guess you could be like, okay, did Sonic throw the fake emerald into the cannon somehow? Did Eggman beat Tails, or did Tails beat Eggman? But even then, you kind of reconcile it because it's like Tails beats Eggman, but Eggman steals the emerald and sneaks away anyway.
Well, you know how the Sonic Adventure 2 story doesn't make any sense if you examine it at all and like try to keep track of who's on the moon at any given time.
They're all on the moon.
Yeah, or on the Ark. On the Ark. Well, this theory fixes that because it's just saying the Master Emerald being broken, screwed with reality and time and space.
And time and space. Okay.
Yeah.
So then, as long as it never breaks again, we're okay.
Yeah, and to my knowledge, it hasn't.
I think that thing does. When it broke in Sonic Movie 1.
Okay.
And 2. Broke in Movie 2 and
that's it.
I think it's implied that it broke in Movie 3, yeah.
It just sort of exists in Movie 3, right? It doesn't break.
Well, no, the Chaos Emeralds come out of it again.
Yeah, but I guess it doesn't break to do that, right? It's just there.
Did it like open gently? Like
it's just sort of
a hinge?
It's not entirely clear. I don't know if I would definitely say it breaks. It disappears. Somehow the emeralds come out of it, but in Movie 2, there's no argument. You're right. Because we see Knuckles reassemble it.
Yep.
So it is definitely broken.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't think it has like a little door that you're supposed to use to get the Chaos Emeralds out.
No, it probably doesn't. But I think they're also magical gems that can like maybe become translucent,
sort of warp through space and time and whatever.
The server serves to unify the chaos and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Do you think the events Tikal showed are accurate to what happened? Like, was she really the lone dissenter?
I think her story was limited by the graphical powers of the Sega Dreamcast. I think if there could have been more characters rendered, then more characters would have been represented there.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. But for the most part, what we see of her is what happened, aside from when she is directly addressing Tails or E102. He didn't actually go back in time. And she was like, "Oh, I didn't," because if she just saw a robot, she'd probably be a bit more confused. Like, what are you? You're not of anything, I know. So
you know what's fun about Sonic Adventure is it resolves a lot of the plot threads from Sonic 3 and Knuckles with the Echidna civilization, but Knuckles himself learns nothing, which I love. It's perfectly in character for him to remain pretty oblivious to the whole thing. He never comments on the fact that like Chaos, like he's got the answers to his questions. Chaos is the original guardian of the Master Emerald. Why was he guarding it? To protect the Chow.
What can he do with his information? Nothing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's just going to keep guarding it because that's his sworn duty. To who? I don't know. It doesn't seem like Chaos or Tikal is putting him up to it.
Right.
Maybe that's why he starts going on adventures in Sonic Heroes.
Yeah. He doesn't know why he was given that job, why it was his fate, but perhaps it's better that way.
Truer words were never said. Okay, we got one more letter. Speaking of Sonic Adventure,
Whoa.
this one's titled Important Chow Discussion.
Whoa.
Dearest Sonic Weekly, I greatly enjoy listening to your podcast alongside fellow connoisseurs of blue hedgehogs. I've always found it strange that the Chow aren't merchandised as much as they should be. Everyone loves cute creature merchandise, and with the infinite ways a Chow could look, Chow merchandise could be everywhere, from blind boxes and plushes to bag charms. Perhaps everyone would want a Chow in their lives without even knowing what a Sonic adventure is. In my most humble opinion, Chow really should be a main pillar of the Sonic brand. Sega must be sitting on millions, having underestimated the popularity and appeal of these creatures for the longest time. Lately, it seems Sega has been trying different ways to capture more Japanese audiences, whether through a strong online presence, collaborating with Japanese creators like Corone, or whatever Sonic and Friends is supposed to be. Perhaps Chow is the answer to gaining more Japanese fans all along, as cute, endless, merchandisable characters are everywhere over there. P.S. I would also enjoy being in the Discord, and guess what? That's how you get the Discord link. It's by emailing us, sonicweeklypodcast@gmail.com. That last part, that was me transitioning out of the letter. But thank you for that letter. They didn't sign it, and their email is, thank you for
That's
the...
okay. We'll answer anonymous queries.
Yes, that's right.
I've mentioned it on the last several shows. I have a young child who's super into Chow right now. I'm not going to say annoying the hell out of every person he encounters by regaling them with Chow facts, but I'm not going to not say that.
Chow facts. Is he right? This child must remind you of you. Well, wait. Is your child more obsessed with Chow than you ever were at this point?
I was older
Right.
when Sonic Adventure came out.
Yeah.
I was minorly obsessive about it. Had maybe a website about it. But I think I was old enough to, realize, oh, my grandparents probably aren't super into this also.
Right.
I never got... Wait, go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking, right, because it didn't occur to me, because, when you were a kid, Bo, you must have talked to your parents about Sonic.
Oh, yeah.
Quite a bit. And now that they are grandparents, they are being inundated.
Again.
Yeah, but they're being re-Sonicked.
Wow.
They've already went through this. They probably thought, oh, that'll never happen again. It's happening again. You can't resist.
Actually, I said, I would never talk to my grandparents about Chow. I didn't quite do that, but my grandfather did help me fix my VMU.
Ooh.
Because the screw got stripped out, taking the batteries in and out so much.
Mm-hmm.
And so he, helped me get the battery latch off and got a matching screw for me. And, that helped my Chow adventures.
Yeah. Sonic generations of family. Sonic family generations. We love to see it, hear it.
That's 4 generations there. My grandfather.
Yeah.
My parents being regaled.
Mm-hmm.
Me being regaled and my son. Yeah.
Right. And then when you're a grandfather, it'll happen, but you'll be on the level. So
you can pull this podcast out and
bring him into this podcast.
We'll see how it has aged.
Oh no, we'll still be going.
We'll still be
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna do this until we're 80. All right. Well, Grant, continue. You were gonna make some Chow points.
Yeah, I sure was. What the hell was I going to say? I've decided to get into Chow because I never engaged with it too deeply. I appreciated the novelty of the VMU Chow adventures, and I appreciated the novelty but I didn't really pursue all of the emblems. And I've mentioned before that the only way I've played Green Hill Zone in Sonic Adventure 2 is through cheating by downloading it from the SegaNet internet or getting it from our buddy Barry on a custom VMU. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, just playing it again because I don't know why, but I'm doing it. And then I'm thinking, I've got the Game Boy Advance now sitting on my desk, so I'm only missing the cord to do the transfer between Game Boy Advance and GameCube. So I guess I'm going to try it.
Ooh.
And I haven't before, and the cord arrives, I don't know, next week or whenever it does. But there's a lot of Chow that I haven't really gotten into, and I'm looking forward to learning the systems because they're pretty complicated systems. There's a lot going on. They're intricate.
Yeah, no.
But also, let me just say too that yes, to the listeners' letter of yes, the merchandise. I think that's totally. I feel like Sega also feels that. I think Chow Tales and the recent Chow appearances in the movies, I feel like they also are getting it, that the Chow have this enduring popularity that could exist even outside of Sonic. So I think that's a astute observation.
Thinking about Chow, right? Because everyone always goes to, oh, they should have a mobile app. They should do like the very obvious things. Perhaps even back in the day, because the VMU was sort of styled as like this could be Sega's Tamagotchi. When the Dreamcast died, they never pivoted to make like a Chow Tamagotchi standalone. Like they could have done that. They still could. I mean, there's still an appeal. Tamagotchi still
That's true.
exist.
Yeah.
But then also just like physical merchandise, thinking about it. There's definitely like there have been Chow plushies. There have been, like there have been Hero Chow, Dark Chow, regular old Chow, a couple, Chow figurines. There was a Chow bobblehead given away at one of the old Sonic Booms, 20 whatever, one of those, yeah. But man, thinking about the actual merchandising pipeline that you could go down, you could do a thing where like there's a base Chow and you buy it. And then you buy the accessories, you buy the attachments. Like you can take the arms off and replace them with like the tiger arms or the dragon arms, or swap out the wings. Like you could have you could do blind bags, which are just filled with whatever random part. Like if you really wanted to maximize the profitability or whatever. But like there is a doorway
idea
of like mix and match, trade and swap. Kids in the playground could be swapping Chow pieces and have their own little custom Chow action figures. Like
it's Mr. Potato Head meets blind boxes Chow. Listen, we're that's our idea now. If that happens, this aged poorly unless we profited from it.
Right. You know what? It's like they could give me a call, and then after that, I can finally pitch the Station Square playset with real flooding action. Is what I want.
Any toy can be a bath toy if you put your mind to it.
That's true. Back in the day, I had the Pride Rock playset, and it's like you've got Pride Rock, and the top sort of would swivel for some reason because you could. Yeah, because I think it was like, oh, what's inside the rock? But then there was also next to it just a little section that was meant to be the elephant graveyard, but it's all just one solid piece. So it's like the elephant graveyard is not at the foot of Pride Rock. But you could, like, you were supposed to put liquid in it and like soap. And then you there was a thing you push and it would make bubbles. And I guess it's supposed to be like, this is the bubbling crude of the elephant graveyard. And, there were a lot of toys that you were supposed to just put water and stuff in.
Yeah.
And I don't think they thought that out, because also, like, I had those Ninja Turtle action figures where you would put water in their back and you'd squirt, and it would squirt out their mouth. But, like, what about mold? Like, things could just start growing in all these play sets.
Yeah, don't cut open a rubber duck. You don't want to see what's on inside of that.
Yeah.
This is reminding me, shout out to my mother. She made for me this Ninja Turtles playset that was better than anything you could buy. It was a box that was, open on one side so you could see what was going on. It had a coffee can attached to the top of it, the hole cut in, so you could put them down into the sewer. They would go into the sewer. Part of the sewer was there and part of it was carpeted with real carpet. So this was like where the turtles could be. Whoa. This was like the the highlight of the Ninja Turtles fan community on my block. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to bring out the Turtles playset.
Wow. Everyone was jealous.
Everyone wanted to play with it.
Did anyone try to steal it? Yeah.
I don't think anybody tried to steal it, but one neighbor had the party mobile that shot pizzas, and
the pizza launcher
that outside the sewer. Yeah.
I had a pizza launcher, and then one day it just mysteriously disappeared, and I don't know what happened to it.
Why, those were not small. How did that disappear?
I don't know. I
know the answer.
Oh.
I'm a parent of a child with too many toys.
I'm a parent, right? So
I got rid of it.
Presumably at one point.
Yeah, thought that you wouldn't notice,
but I definitely did, because
you did notice. Yeah,
because in the attic of my father's house, I know there is a box filled with my Ninja Turtle stuff. I still have the Technodrome. I still have the Party Wagon. I still have, like the main action figures that I had. But I had the pizza launcher, and I also had their motorcycle. And those things have vanished. And I don't know what, because I certainly did not throw it out. Oh, I also had the tall Krang, like the big Krang. Oh, man, that tall Krang was cool. The Technodrome is cool. The eye rolls down. It's a very cool playset. I love the Technodrome. But
I saw this documentary that I think explains it. It's called Toy Story. And basically the toys have sentience and they can just sort of run away when they feel like they've been abandoned by their child.
Does that apply to just the vehicles? Do the vehicles come to life? I guess the RC car
everything.
is alive, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Anything that's a toy. Yeah.
Right.
And Sonic Adventure is a documentary, not a toy. So Sonic Adventure doesn't become sentient because the characters in Sonic Adventure are not they're characters within the context of the story, but they're real life, reality people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was Toy Story and there was Brave Little Toaster. But in Brave Little Toaster, the toys aren't alive, but in Toy Story, the appliances aren't alive. So are they just also hiding from each other? Or is it just in whatever universe you exist, there's only one thing that is secretly sentient? And you have to choose one or the other.
Yeah. Toaster, that's not a good bath toy. Don't do that.
No.
But hey, speaking of moms, shout out to moms, as Bo said.
Just the general concept.
The concept of moms, but my mom specifically.
Yeah, Mother's Day is coming up.
Whoa.
Yes. For my mom, for the all-time best Halloween costume I had was a custom homemade Darkwing Duck costume, and it won something in like the school contest, whatever. I don't know. I have very good memories, and one good photo that I think I've maybe shown you before, because it was a pretty cool get up, and not to brag, but Darkwing Duck was a pretty cool character at the time.
Yeah.
This was 2015, so I was I was a child.
Right, man. I'm trying to think. I guess my mother sourced pieces to make me a Superman costume, in the sense that like she got a blue leotard and blue tights and an iron-on ass and a cape. Like it was
counts.
the pieces,
and that's just like the real Superman. The real Superman's costume is made by Ma Kent.
Right. I mean,
or it's from Krypton.
Yeah.
It's his underwear. Which one is true?
It's it's all the pieces are from. Wait, is what part true again?
Any of it.
Because I feel like there's different origins of.
There are
Superman's
different origins
costume.
of his costume. Yes.
Whether or not Ma Kent made it, or if it's underwear from Krypton.
Well, in pre-Crisis, like if we're talking pre-Crisis Silver Age, it was both. Ma Kent took the blankets that Kal-El was wrapped in and formed the Superman costume, and that's why it was also invulnerable. And anyone who wore it, like, they would be protected here, but not their head. But then in post-Crisis, the John Byrne revamp, it was she made it outright, and I believe Pa Kent, Jonathan Kent, created the S. Well, actually, I think he created the S in both versions, pre-Crisis and post-Crisis, but then it was weird because, like, there's a story where the S also exists elsewhere, and somehow it was beamed into Jonathan Kent's mind, but let's not think about that too hard. And then in the early 2000s, when Birthright came out, I think that's when they started incorporating the idea that started in Superman the movie and was also used in the Lois and Clark show, that the S was a symbol from Krypton.
That was going to be my question, is like, when did it stop being an S and start being like a symbol that looks like an S?
In the post-Crisis, the Superman's first outing, he isn't even wearing the suit. The suit gets made later, and that is by his mother. The suit exists early on because Super Baby has a cape in pre-Crisis. And Superboy has the full outfit.
Super Baby.
But I mean, Golden Age Superman, I guess he made the suit himself, because Ma and Pa Kent are dead before he becomes Superman, which I guess sort of. And then what is it in the New 52? The outfit is like, it just exists, right? Because it's like Kryptonian battle armor, which is like, I'm not a fan of that. Mm. The current status, I guess, because they've sort of, it's a mishmash of things currently, right? Like, pieces of post-Crisis Superman definitely happened, but they've reintroduced the idea that he was Superboy once upon a time.
Yep.
But then I think the S is also part of the history of Krypton. Like, it is meant to be. They've just sort of glued all things together. And I know in the Absolute Superman, the S is definitely a Kryptonian symbol.
That feels like the right way for it to be. Like, it's weird if it's like I don't know. I guess at some point maybe it made sense of like, yes, because you're super. you're Superman.
You're super right.
You're like, yeah, I guess I am Superman. I could lift a car right over my head. I could
Right.
jump over this building.
Yeah.
Give me another building. That was the first Superman.
I like your idea though that it's Krypton underwear. Like he's wearing it. Like, yeah, it's cool. This is I'm gonna fight crime with this. And then like he finally meets some aliens, and they're like, dude, you're walking around in the underwear we wear.
Yeah, they're like long johns, but I think that's
Yeah.
right, David. That's not a me thing. That's just what it was. Right?
Right. It's supposed to be like a circus costume or a wrestler's outfit. Like that's
Oh, there
what
you
it's
go.
meant to evoke. And where do you make that out of whatever you find, which would include like fancy colored long johns, and that's what it is. Yeah. You know, but either way, he's got it. He's got the trunks back. Remember, there was a brief time in the comics they got rid of the trunks. Wasn't a fan of that. I am 110% for the trunks. Give me those
Batman's
trunks.
still no trunks.
You got to give him back those trunks.
Yeah, give him back the trunks.
Right. I know because I read the first issue of New Hush 2.
Me too.
At least they gave him, I haven't read the second one yet. They gave him the yellow symbol on his chest at the end of that
Yeah.
issue.
That was the most exciting thing, I think.
Yeah, it was like, I haven't seen that yellow when was the last time he had yellow on his chest, like normally?
No Man's Land.
Wow. Like that's forever ago.
2000, the year 2000, the Sega Dreamcast.
I'm hoping they're just keeping the yellow from here on out. I know,
Me too.
you know, I get it when it's just the Bat logo and there's no yellow. It's like, ooh, I know it's Golden Age and mysterious, but new look Batman from the 60s, they give him the yellow circle. Like, yeah, it makes sense. It gives people, like, if he's all dark except this yellow thing and somebody sees the yellow and tries to shoot the yellow, yeah, that's where the Kevlar is. That's where the padding is. That's where
The Michael Keaton suit is the best this character has ever looked. The 1989, the costume's goofy in practice because it's a big rubber sarcophagus, but it actually has a cool like design.
It
like
does.
Black and yellow. It's just perfect.
Yeah, and that was a song. That's what that song's based on, right? Black and yellow, black and yellow.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
anything else? We're gonna end the show now.
I mean, we can keep it talking about Superman for a while.
Thank you to the listeners for writing in. You can see where these questions lead us, and if you want to lead us in directions that you want to see us go in, write into the show, SonicWeeklyPodcast at gmail.com.
Very fair.
Whoa, that's right. I just throw in the email address right out on top because why not? You know, it's like we do a certain order, but we don't always have to do a certain order. We came off the mailbag, and you love the mailbag. You love questions. You love people answering questions, and that's why after you finish this episode of Sonic Weekly, you're sitting down in front of your computer of choice, be it a Windows PC, be it a Macintosh, maybe you have a Linux distribution, I don't know. Or maybe you've rejected all computers and you only have an internet phone or an Android device, which happens to have Podcast Addict, and you're writing an email. And what's that email to? SonicWeeklyPodcast at gmail.com. That's right. You send off that email. We might read it on air if it's a question. If it's just a statement, we might still read it. Or you might just be like, give me a link to the Discord server, because that's also what happens in that email. We'll send you the link to the Discord server. You can talk to some like-minded Sonic the Hedgehog fans about many things up to, including Sonic T. Hedgehog. Whoa, you can have so much fun. But before you do any of that, you should make sure that you're subscribed to this show using your podcatcher of choice, be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or for the Android faithful, Podcast Addict. We're shouting them out twice. That's right. Look at that software go. You can rate and review an app. Oh, also, you reject all podcatchers? We're on YouTube at Sonic-Weekly. Don't forget the dash. And you can like, comment, and subscribe. And there's gameplay footage by friend of the show, jackofoldgames. Who knows what he's playing this week? Well, you already know because you've gotten to the end of the show and all of that's happened. If you've enjoyed this and you're able to, you can also help support the show financially. We're over at Ko-fi. We're just Sonic Weekly there. Throw something in the tip jar, or for just $5 buccarinos a month, you can become one of our executive producers, just like PigDan, Pabsy, Sonikku, SavingThrows, Belgarion, and AltSynth. I'll say your name. You can be the next name. And you'll get something in the mail. You'll get some stickers in the mail from wife of the Grant, Ashlyn. She'll send them to you. Or maybe Grant will actually do it. You know, Grant's probably going to the mail and being like, here you go.
You never know.
You never know. It might not
It's
not
always sealed with a kiss.
be. Whoa.
No, that's not true. That's not true at all. We're not doing that. It is not hygienic.
Not hygienic.
No.
That's right. Do not kiss. Hey, we got to thank Smoovies for the edit. There's a couple things I'm sure he cut out, hopefully. And of course, we're at the end. Now I got to thank Grant and Bo. Of course. Look at that. Grant is looking so intently. He's like, whoa, what am I being thanked about? It's for being the host with the most. Even though Bo is also the host with the most, you're equal mosts. If you were pulling out your mosts, they'd be equal.
Thanks for that.
Thank you, David.
Oh, God.